Welcome to Beyond the Spot. I'm Melissa Thornley, and today we have with us Amber Tisue. Amber is the senior sound designer at Stir Post Audio. Hi, Amber.
Hi, Melissa.
You sing, you are a voiceover artist, you sing jingles, you are behind the big board of crazy knobs doing sound design.
Yeah.
You are like the mistress of audio awesomeness.
Ooh, mysterious. I like it.
Like, how did you get into it?
Basically, I started out, when I was 13, I picked up a guitar and I found my voice in singing. And as I progressed, I was like, God, how do I make a living out of this? How can I make money? How can I be able to record my own music and make a living off of that?
And you started off working on the ad side.
Right. So, well, I started out interning in music recording studios, recording bands. So I got to assist bands like Green Day and Bonnie Raitt and Carlos Santana, right out of the gate. But I wasn't able to make a living. I was squeaking by. And I'm like, God, I love doing this, but I can't live this way anymore. Like, what am I gonna do to still be able to record and be in audio production, but make a decent living and plan a future for myself? I actually kind of fell into the post-production side in advertising. My friend Jonathan Isaac was at Goodbee for a few years. He's a Brit. He's like, hey, I know that Goodbee's hiring an engineer. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Who's Goodbee? What is this? I don't know anything about this. And so the head of production at that time, or the head of post-production, Greg Everidge, took one look at me because I was so young. I was like 24. And he was like, no, you're too green. Get out. And I'm like, no, wait, no. And I was desperate for a job. I'm like, I have to make this work. I have to do this. And so I looked it in the face and I was like, Greg, give me 2 weeks. Give me 2 weeks in that chair. If I'm not cutting it, cut me loose. That's fine. But just let me prove myself to you. 4 years later, it all worked out. So I was there for 4 years.
That's kind of a gutsy little
Oh,
move.
it was so ballsy. Oh, God. Totally. But I was, that's the whole reason I'm sitting here. Absolutely, is because of Greg Everidge and Goodbee.
Well, actually, that's the best place to really learn.
Yeah, just the experience and seeing the business side first, moving to the vendor side. I understand where people are coming from. On the agency side, it's like, okay, this is why this deadline is a soft deadline, or this is why this is taking so long. Yeah, so it's an asset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I picture sometimes with sound designers, making up sound effects and rolling something in sand and scraping things and making crazy sound effects. Do you get to do that?
Totally. That's a large part of what I do, is Foley. I pull from a huge database of sound effects, really high quality, beautifully recorded sound effects. Some that I've recorded, I go out into the field and record them. And then some I've purchased, some that have been given to me. If a project calls for something very specific, I'll try to interpret that sound. It's like, okay, well, what is this gonna sound like? Because it's generally not a literal translation of the sound effect. So it's really fun to be able to be creative that way and get my hands dirty and get in the earth and set up mics and be all nerdy and get all that going.
Oh my God, no, that just sounds like so much fun.
It is fun, yeah, it is a lot of fun.
So when you're walking around, do you hear things? I mean, not like ghosts or dead people or anything, but I mean, do you feel like you hear the world differently?
Definitely, I feel like I've always heard the world differently. But especially after being a sound designer for so long, you pick apart everything around you. And that's how you sculpt the world, when I'm behind the console. You have to know what the real world sounds like and be able to recreate that.
And when you communicate with your clients about sound design, how do you talk about sound, really?
Right. It's hard to talk about sound, and it's hard for creative people to talk about sound. Even on the advertising or film side, it's the translation of what your ears hear into words, which is difficult for a lot of people. It's difficult for me still.
With the 5 gum spots that you worked on, there's it's really, they're quick, they're short, but there's parts where there's no sound at all, almost.
The concept for 5 gum, the latest 5 gum, commercial was creating a bubble. So we had a conference call talking about this, what they wanted to achieve in this bubble space. And I'm like, okay, well, inside of a bubble, what does it sound like? Well, mostly it's in your head, because it's teenagers deciding to make a decision that's a really bad decision, or good. I mean, depending. I think good, but just, against parents' wishes.
Right.
I was like, okay, well, what does it sound like in your head? Like when a bomb goes off, there's ringing in your ears. Or you hear your heartbeat, you hear breathing. But they didn't want it to be as literal as that. Even though that's an aspect of the sound design of that, it's layered in. They wanted something really impactful and yet absent of sound. So I did a bunch of renditions for them, and we came to a place creatively together, like a collaboration to get to the place that they really foresaw. And I loved how it came out.
Have you ever composed music specifically for a commercial?
I have, yeah.
So how is that different from sound design for a commercial?
Good question. The musical score is a lot more of a storytelling, emotional arc. Mm-hmm. It creates the emotion of the spot, like the feeling. Whereas sound design draws your eye into a specific place.
Everything that you're about is about designing sound and creating like ambience. So like, what do you think we need to listen to more?
Well, I think your inner voice would be the first thing to listen to. People talk about a gut feeling. That'll always tell you, whether something is good for you or bad for you, or the fight or flight kind of thing. So I think listening to that would be number one. Number two would be listening to others, like what they're really saying to you, beyond the words coming out of their mouth. Like kind of being able to read them, understand where they're coming from, because words are deceiving. There's a lot that is hidden by words. So kind of looking past that and into the person instead of the message that's coming out of their mouth. And then third, I would think, put down your phone. Like, listen to the world around you. Maybe take the headphones out of your ears when you're on the subway and listen to life. So, we're constantly bombarded with so much all the time. It's like, well, what do you choose to listen to? It's easy to choose what to listen to. Yourself.
Yeah.
That's what I would say anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wise. Wisdom.
Namaste.
Wisdom. It's true. It's true. I love it. Okay, so we always do the 3 questions. Mm-hmm. And so the first question is, where do you come from?
Well, physically, I come from Southern California, born and raised. Emotionally, I come from a place of intuition and going with your gut.
Where are you going?
I am going with the flow. Because what else can you do?
Yeah, no, true. Downstream, baby, downstream.
Yeah.
And what keeps you going?
My friends and my family really keep me going. My music keeps me going, and obviously my sound design and my career keep me going. Living, traveling, being with people, being with friends, being with family, getting to know others.
Connection.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for being here. This
Thank you
was
so
really
much.
fun.